Hi, this is your boy Rasheem Kilo Pugh, and today on The World is Listening, I am here with the world famous visual artist, Leo Rucker. What's up, my bro?
What's going on, bro? How you doing, man?
It's all good.
Oh, man. Thank you for inviting me out, man.
Oh, man, look. Hey, listen. All I got to say is you doing some amazing stuff, bro. You've been doing amazing stuff. I met this brother years ago, right? And I had this whole idea for the Save the Arts Awards, right?
Ooh,
and we were talking, I think the first thing I asked him to do was, I think it was the characters first.
It was the characters, right?
I said, I had Lil Ramir, and he drew these amazing characters, man, the bomb. But then there was this big task. Whoa. The big task was, I needed a backdrop for the theater, the stage on the theater. Let me tell you something.
Never done it before.
You never, that was your first time?
That was my first time doing something on that stage.
I never done nothing like that before either.
Right,
So
yeah.
When I tell you that he was like, look, we got to get this canvas. And I was like, all right. He took me to some spot, and man, he rolled this thing out, and it was, yo, it was like 40 feet long.
It was actually 40
and it was,
feet long.
and I forgot how tall it was.
It was 15.
Oh, man, let me tell you something. That thing was like a football field.
You felt like it.
And yo, he drew that joint out. He was like, look, you got to do it like this. And I'm just sitting here watching going,
oh my God.
what? This is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show some pictures. I'm gonna put that in this video too.
Oh, you got it.
I got some photos. They gotta see it. It's crazy.
They gotta see that one.
So years have passed. We did that. That was in 2009.
Wow, it hasn't been that long?
That was 2009, man.
Holy smoke. Oh, man.
And my bro got the Save the Arts Award too that year.
That year?
You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
So years have passed. You've been doing a lot of different shows.
A lot of different shows.
Tell everybody where you're from and what made you get started in the art.
So, I'm originally from Winston-Salem. Born in Lynchburg, Virginia, but of course raised here in Winston-Salem. From a kid, 5 years old, up to present, and just, gratefully had opportunities to expose myself to the art community here, as they're considered, the city of the arts, and the original first community that had original arts council. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that was
really?
kind of crazy.
The city of the arts. Wow.
Yeah,
and I didn't even know you were born here either.
No, so I was born in Lynchburg, Virginia.
Lynchburg, Virginia, okay.
But I was raised in Winston-Salem, so between Lexington,
right.
Cooley. If you never heard of it, so somebody
never heard of Cooley. Cooley.
Yeah, Cooley, North Carolina, a small town,
wow.
in between Lexington, Marksville, Midway, places like that. And then eventually, of course, as the corporate Winston-Salem continued to grow, parents got jobs, moved to Winston, little kid trying to figure his way out here in Winston, in a low income area, but at the same time, creative was already there. And it took just one person who saw it, in an unpredictable situation. I'm just doodling, I still doodle today, but in a different kind of way. Right. But just like normal kids who grow up.
Where were you doodling at?
So I was doodling on the front porch.
Okay.
The original home, I actually drove by there. I drive by there every so often just to remind me, this was my beginning as an artist. And so I drive just to look at it, but then right across the street on the other side of the block was the first home where I actually grew up and kind of a wild kid, doing some crazy stuff. Went through a lot of injuries. So in my day, I was kind of wild. Okay. And didn't do any crazy wild things that got me in trouble, but just wild, active things that, injured my body a lot over the years and stuff. Okay. But, here I am still, sticking to that creativity. And I made a promise to myself.
So you were a football player?
No, I ran cross country.
Because I saw you in a newspaper article. What was that? That was cross country?
That was cross country.
Okay.
Yeah, cross country, believe it or not, yeah. That became my kind of relaxation. I exhale from just life and from just work and art. I needed an outlet for art, because when I got into art and I got passionate about it, I was like 100. And it's like nothing else mattered. And people will tell you today, Leo do his art, like, that's his girlfriend.
Right.
And sometimes it make people jealous.
So who was the first person that told you take art seriously?
Who was the first person to take art serious? Actually, it was a neighbor who gave me a commission when I was at 5 years old. I did a commission of her husband. It didn't even like a person. It was just a circle head with sticks on it, and I could visualize like the military type of helmets,
Right.
you know, and like World War I, World War II, and you know, she was so proud of that, and from that point, it was like, you should pursue that, and then it just became being in school, being
Did
at
she
the
give you
right.
$1 or something?
Yeah, you know, she might give me a quarter. I might get a quarter. You know, it wasn't a whole lot. But you know, she was that kind of person. She took me under her wings. And, you know, she would always invite me over the house. You know, feed me and stuff like that. People say, "Where Leo at?" Pretty proud of Miss What's Name house.
Right.
I do stuff around the house for her, move stuff.
Okay.
You know, because her husband passed away. But it was just that kind of like neighbor. We were so close, the houses were so close, almost close as me and you. So it's like you could reach out the window, you know, and touch them and stuff like that. But she was a really cool, you know, lady that I'll never forget. Then I had neighbors next door. Other than that, people started paying attention. Teachers in school, you know, even though I couldn't get my work right, I could use my art as a form to help me educate myself. You know, learn. So I learned certain things like math, and I learned history by doing art. Art became my platform to get me through education.
What was your first art show?
Wow. So my first art show really didn't come until I got to like senior high school, where you know we did. And still today, Forsyth County still does that with school systems. They had an exhibition, and it was a major thing out at the mall. So that was the first time I ever had an opportunity. And after I did that, then I was.
Wait, before you go faster.
Yeah.
How did that feel? That first
How did
one?
I feel? That was kind of cool, because you know, like everybody's, you know, parents were, you know, coming out to the mall, looking at their kids' work, and you know, I think I went by myself the first time I went. I rode the bus out there, and so. But then, you know, my parents were working hard, so they was really, you know, trying to be responsible with trying to take care, because it was 7 of us.
Oh wow, 7. Okay.
So we, you know, so then, you know, they was depending on, you know, making sure that, you know, we had the best that we could, you know. But then, you know, I was kind of a loner, so you know, I would just fly off and go somewhere on my own. So I went to the mall, check out my artwork. But then I had an art teacher. He was like, and today he's still my best friend. We talk, believe it or not. And that's rare for you to have a teacher, you know, who follow you your entire life, you know, as an artist. So every now and then we'll text, we'll call, we'll meet up at the high school and stuff like that. And so he really pushed me. He actually gave me an opportunity to really just sit in the corner, you know, and just do my work. And then the previous art teacher, before him, they became friends because they were art teachers in the community and in the school system. I always call him Mr. Elliott, call him Redneck, because his neck was always red. And he was hard on me because he was my cross country coach too as well. Cause that was how, you know, I would use that as a form of relaxation, because he thought I was trying to play football, you know, with all the other kids. I only weighed 106 pounds in 9th grade, so he's like, Leo, that ain't for you, you know. So he said, man, come and work for me, you know, work for me. I ran cross country, and man, you know, I'll be running all over Winston-Salem all the time. Man. Just, you know, I would go draw, you know, or I'd get up early in the morning, you know, if I didn't have to go to school, and just run, you know, until I couldn't run no more. And that just became, you know, kind of the best place for me to be by myself, you know. And it taught me that I could be comfortable in being by myself. And everybody needs somebody to be with, they say. But for me, that was just like, I didn't have to. I go to the movies, I go run, I go walk, I go ride a bike, you know, and that was just really set the foundation who and how I became even today as well. You know, I mean, I have connections and have relationships with people, family and friends and stuff who have been my supporters, but still, you know, everybody knows, you know, I can float, you know, just in my own little world.
Oh, that's right. Were you the only one out of your siblings to have that kind of talent?
So the unique thing about my siblings and just my entire family in general, my whole entire family are creative people. And I had an uncle or cousin, his name was Tom, and he drew horses and animals, and he still today loves animals. And I would go over, you know, back in the day, you know, all families, parents got together, you know, they had cookouts, they had all kinds of stuff. And he would be at home, you know, he was older than me, had this room, just pictures of horses and animals all over the place, and I would just go in there and just set, you know, he let me doodle a little bit, at that time, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I knew it felt good to me. I felt like, you know, it was drawing me to it and stuff like that. And then, you know, of course, other relatives became, you know, successful in their art and things like that. But then I was that one kid that just stuck with it. You know, I can look back at all my relatives, all my friends who were artists, and life just kind of evolved and changed them and caused them to kind of, you know, had to go a different direction. But for me, I like, you know, if I don't do nothing else, I'm gonna be the one to stick with it, you know.
Okay.
And you know, it was a price you had to pay.
Right.
To stick with it.
Right.
Anybody know that about being successful and following your dreams? You know that, you know, sometimes you make sacrifices. People think you're crazy.
Absolutely, you definitely have to sacrifice.
People think you don't live.
So let's go to a hard time.
A hard time.
What was the worst time trying to be an artist, and what were you going through?
Wow, man. This probably be the first time I ever said this publicly, and I hope the wife okay with this. But you know, there was a period, you know, even when I looked like I was successful, I didn't have to be, but it was kind of a choice I made. You know, I kind of had this period in my life where it felt like homelessness, where, you know, I had a friend, I had a relationship with a community business person, you know, who kind of worked for me, where I was doing my artwork, but a lot of times that workspace, that art space became my living space and stuff. And a lot of times I didn't have transportation, so I had several jobs where I would walk like for hours just to get to the job, you know. And sometimes I had to end up, you know, I had to have 2 jobs, you know, and try to do art at the same time. And it was crazy. It was I'd be riding to work on a bike in the rain. I'd be walking to work on hard shoes, you know. At nighttime, I would have to walk home, you know, in the middle of the night, you know, struggling, you know, and nobody on the street. You know, I'm like, man, where my feet be hurting like a mother. I'm like, so if you've never heard this story, you know, this is the first time, again, I've had to let this go and realize that this may benefit somebody else. And now hold on to this, take this to the grave, and hopefully it really connects to why I took this phrase on and made it my own, called Make It Do What It Do. Because I did so many things, and friends would be riding up and down the street, and sometimes people give me rides, sometimes people like, Leo, where you going? I'm going to work. I'm going to do art. I'd be, you know, I might have supplies at a client's home, but I had to walk and catch a bus and, you know, go through this street, cut through this back road, whatever, to get to that place of business and get it done, you know. So it was just all kinds of sacrifices that we had to make. You know, even in relationships, I had to ride a bike to a girl's house or a girlfriend's house, or, you know, walk to the house, and in the middle of the night, you know, like, I don't know who's gonna jump out of nowhere, you know, and jump you. You carrying a book bag with all your career life stuff, computer stuff in it, you know, back hurting and everything. You trying
to trucking over there.
You just trucking. You trucking. You just trying to get where you trying to get to. And stuff. And so that was like, you know, real challenging, you know. And my parents, it kind of disappointed my parents for a bit, you know, because it's like, you know, why are you putting yourself through all this? You know, you could do better. You could do better than that, you know. It's just, you don't have to, you know, you don't have to live like that. And, you know, and even some of my families didn't even know, you know, what I was going through, you know. And I tell some friends, but I had a friend, you know, who was my friend, and we are friends to the death, you know, like a brother. And I have some brothers, you know, who are there for me, but he has been my friend since we were, like 10 years old. And so, and he is probably one of the most successful people that you will never know about, never hear about. And so, but he's the most humble person, and he'll give his arm, you know, his shirt off his back for you. And he said, Ruck, as long as you trying, I'll be there for you.
That's good stuff.
And so, you know,
that's good stuff.
We don't have too many people in our lives like that. It's rare. You know? You say, even if I don't agree with you, you know, I'll help you. And then we go 3-4 months and we don't talk, but we pick up the phone, just like me and you sitting here talking. It'd be like it was just like yesterday. But you know, everybody got to go do what they need to do in life and achieve what their purpose is. And we both did that, but we still remain to be friends.
Something you said, one thing that a lot of people don't know about having relationships when you're pursuing your dreams. a lot of relationships fall to the side.
Yeah.
Because some people just can't take it.
They can't take it. They can't take it. Like, man, you should just let it go.
Right.
You should just
right.
give it up, man. Go get a job, or and I did. I had to go get a job. There were some certain things in my life. I had a son that it kind of put me in a position where I had to go get a job, but take care of him. Even though I was grinding and working, it just wasn't rotating, coming fast enough, and I was spending more money, trying to produce artwork versus the money to make sure that I needed the necessary things to take care of him. And for a minute, we had a distance, relationship, but it's like I would go to the max for him, Even though he lived far away from me, but I would walk in the middle of the night
right.
on a dark road, on a scary road with tractor trailers, narrow as you can imagine, just to go visit him, let his mother know that, I was gonna be there no matter what. People say, well, why don't you just move away, go somewhere, where a city where, where art is thriving and you could probably make it. And I I just couldn't see myself walk away from my son, and not have that connection, relationship. We don't talk a lot even today, but we have a connection. It's just like, again, like with my friend, I pick up the phone, we call and talk. Dad, how you doing? What's going on with you? And I'm like, man, are you all okay? You out there, living in another city by yourself.
Right.
Are you okay? How's things going? And so, we learned to figure out how to keep our relationship knit tight.
That's good. Now, I remember when I first met you and the Black Theater Festival came, and you was in this big loft.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were stopping by your spot. Even when I was there for a short period of time, it was coming through. And some of them women was pouring coming through there, brother. So that leads me to the question of, how did you find your wife in all of this, with all this going on?
All this going on.
What made you say, how did y'all meet and how did that happen?
So that kind of evolved. I was trying to do a project, and I wish I had followed through with it. It was called Your Story Through Your Shoes. So our walk in life is all about not who that person is, but where our feet have treaded. And so I was meeting a lot of people, and there was women, but also a few men. But I would read people through what their shoes look like, what kind of clothes do they wear, from the waist down. I was like, okay, if I never saw your face, what would the rest of this body tell me about you? With your shoes, and all kind of other things that come along with it.
Now, this was an art project?
So this is just my own personal art project that I was trying to pursue.
Okay.
And so, but then I got a commission from the city of Winston-Salem, the transit department, because I had previously done it with them through an arts program to paint the pillars downtown of Winston-Salem, which is representing, the first transportation that was started in Winston-Salem was the Safe Bus. And so they asked me to come in and redo the poles. They liked it. It was okay for a summer project with kids, but the president of the Safe Bus at the time, Mr. Barnes, said, Leo, I need this to be like real good. And so in that project, during that project, that's where I met my wife. She was getting on and off a bus with her kids and stuff like that. But she had this really New York, kind of urban-like appearance. And like you said, not only her, but there were just so many other people, jumping on off the bus. You can imagine, the typical type of personalities you're gonna see.
Right.
So, but it kind of caught my attention, and she laughed about it. And so I was like, you know what? At this point, all they can say is no. So I was like, I went up to her, I was like, I'm working on this pole. She came by. I was like, can I holler at you for a minute? I'm working on this project. I think you'll be great for it. And then we started, I introduced to the spot where I was, working on the bigger mural in this studio loft you were talking about.
Right.
And she actually, trusted me, came through, but she brought a friend,
Okay, yeah.
You know how that,
Right.
Just walking to a stranger's place,
Right.
without some backup and stuff.
Right.
So, they came and, I started taking pictures, of her shoes. I told her the story I wanted her to bring, books, education, what was her life about, her struggle as well. And then, after
fell in love with the story.
Yeah. So, boy, mess me up. Mess me up.
The story was too good.
Yeah, it was good, and I was passionate, like, wow, you ain't the only one going through stuff. You know? So, you know, you realize, you know, there's a lot of, not just men, but there's a lot of women, you know, struggling, you know, to make their life, you know, something out of something. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna give this a try, you know. And, cause I, you know, there were times where, you know, I go in one relationship, out of it, into another one, not giving myself some time to breathe and really think about really what you want out of a relationship. I think we all do that still today. We in a hurry to be in a relationship.
Absolutely.
So I push a lot of young people to say, slow it down, you know, get to know you.
Get to know a person, get to know yourself.
Get to know yourself, get to know that person, you know, because life will go through, you'll go through life with that person, and then you realize, you know, this ain't really what I wanted.
Right.
So, because, you know, all the pages start opening up and peel back, and you start realizing, oh, this is who this really is. So this is like, oh my God, you gotta, you know, you gotta be sure what you want, and then, because once you're in it, and sometimes it can be detrimental, or sometimes it could take you to a whole nother level. So you gotta find, is this person there for you? Or are you there for that person? Can you be there for that person? And you have to ask yourself that, you know. And sometimes I get a little selfish because I'm really passionate about what I'm trying to do, you know. I don't like distractions, and I don't like people to take away from the goals that I'm trying to set. But, you know, sometimes life will humble you.
So tell me this, take me to the most exciting time that you ever had with your art, whether it was an exhibit, whether it was, just give me the most exciting moment you ever had concerning the arts.
Now, I'll tell you, right now I have a project that's probably is the most exciting, but I'm gonna take you to a point where, you know, I had a younger brother who worked for Foot Locker, and he played basketball, and his career took him all over the place, and he ended up moving to Seattle, Washington. I had never been out of Winston-Salem my entire life, and so, you know, there was still some struggles, but I had just had a project that was paying me enough to, like, you know what? He said, bro, I want you to come out to Seattle. You know, I just had a new baby. I want you to paint something mural on the wall, and so just to have the experience of traveling, you know, from the east, you know, out to the west, far west coast, you know, and just, you know, hearing about, you know, what it's like out there. You know, they say it was raining. It didn't rain out one time while I was out there. But it's a cool experience to be able to have, you know, relatives, friends that give you opportunity to expose yourself, experience life outside of your normal realm. And he had this huge dog called, I can't even think of the dog name, but he was big. And, you know, friends, it was just like, I was on a vacation, you know. It was like my first real vacation to say, you know, I can go.
So that wasn't really the excitement of the art, though.
Yeah, but
that was the traveling.
It was
the trip.
It was a trip, but it was the art that I was able to create. You know. At that time, I created a huge mural in his baby room. So I was doing it to just raw. You know, I had a thought, had an idea, they told me what they want, and it had a big old fence, like the kid can't jump over it, but it was just it was up the wall. You put all these animals and trees on the wall and stuff. That's cool. And it covered the whole entire wall with different animals looking over the baby's, what you call it?
Like the crib?
Crib and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And it had a name carved into the tree, and like a real tree. So it was like it was a cool experience to do that. But of course, you know, fast forward now into current present, my all-time project is what I'm working on now with an artist I hired who taught me how to use a medium that I had never used before. I'm a traditional painter with a brush, but today I've moved into a level of knowing how to paint with spray can and understanding how to control how the different tips on the can work and how to actually purchase it. Now it's a lot of work because you gotta move your body. It ain't just like you could just goes like you spraying a piece of furniture, you know, stuff like that. But it's all about knowing pressure, understanding control, understanding colors, you know, because the vast of color palette that's out there is just ridiculous, you know. But also along that way, I already saw myself way back when I was in the loft, and even before the loft, I saw myself. I had told a cousin of mine who we were trying to help each other. She was doing some stuff in the mental health, and I was just doing my art. I said, one day we're gonna make it, and follow our dream. And today, both of us are living, you know,
Nice.
in a place where we feel like we deserve, you
Right.
know, after all the years of hard work. And so I say to myself, all I need was an opportunity. Now I went through several jobs. I worked at a company that I enjoy working at called Old Salem Museum and Garden. I still cherish, you know, those relationships with the people, you know, who brought me onto that because they knew that, you know, okay, Lil, we know you need to get a job and work, you know, because at that time I kind of got stuck in paying child support. So, but at the same time, I was able to utilize my talent by working for that company and enhancing their presentation and drawing customers and people to Old Salem through art. So that was a cool experience to watch your art be a platform that like, ooh, I need to go see that. And it was an artistic rendering that helped enhance people like to go get the experience.
Right.
And then they would see other art type of stuff and history stuff as well. But my stuff stuck with them as well. And then it also pushed me even more to understand history. So not only was I creating art, especially today, I'm not just creating art, I'm creating history. Something that will be here well beyond, you know, my life experience. And somebody else is going to pick it up and say, okay, wow, I wonder who did that. You know?
That's
and then like I do research on artists, somebody go end up doing research on
you. Absolutely.
Yeah. And you know, the cool thing, they'll end up finding, even with this, you know, interview here, they'll understand, you know, wow, it wasn't peaches and cream. You know,
That's right.
The brother went through some struggle.
Absolutely.
And stuff like that, and it's hard. So now I'm beginning to get, you know, in my current age, you know, where I'm able to kind of release a little bit of my personal experience and of life and through art and share it with the world and say,
share the wisdom.
Share the wisdom. Because that's what it comes down to. I'm at a point where I'm still gonna be learning, but I have a lot to give and share back with others who are willing to, you know, learn from the information, but I still learn from other artists as well.
Makes sense, absolutely. So right now, what would you tell artists all over the world that's either been in it for a little bit or just getting started? And of course, look, probably one of the artists right there, look. What would you tell them? What advice would you give them?
Never quit. Figure out what is your thing that makes people gravitate towards you. Is it your style? Is it your medium? Is it your subject matter that's going to be a story that you can tell that will connect with people? Because that's one of the most important things is how does your imagery, how does your conception of art and how you create it connect with the viewers and the people that come and look at it?
Right.
You know, because that they'll become collectors or they'll just become viewers who will share that. But the ultimate goal, you know, if you want to make a living at it, you got to figure out a way to find balance in creating art, still be you, that will resonate with an audience that's willing to pay the value that you put on your art. And that's one of the biggest keys is how do you set that value of what you price your art at? You know, that people will say, okay, no matter, you know, whether it's going to be $25 or it's going to be $400 million.
Right.
Because there are artists who sell and have sold. Now they might not be living, but they sell for that, you know, amount of money. You know, and hopefully you can do that.
How did you do with your art in terms of going from one price range to another price range?
Well, what I did is I compared myself, my medium, my style, at the age that I was, as I progressed in age, of artists that were, you know, on the same level. And there are some artists who were even younger than me who were doing some astronomical stuff. And I had like, okay, what am I doing in my medium that's setting me on a different stage of this value of this work is worthy of increasing the price. Now, at the same time, I had to be a little smart as well that I learned from a lot of artists who were business people as well. You know, how are you trying to live through your art? Are you trying to, you know, only just barely get by? Or are you trying to really make a living? You know, what is it going to cost? You got to think like a business person. You know, how much the car costs, how much the gas costs, how much the house costs, the rent, whatever, daily stuff. So you got to start figuring out how to factor those things in. And I still work on that, you know, because, you know, every time you go from one level to the next level, you got to think higher. And then you got to convince your customer or your audience that as you go higher in price, it is worth, you know,
it's worth it.
It's worth it. Yeah, it's worth it. You know, it's like any artist. You know, it's like our actors. You know, as they go from just doing something in a little small theater to a major movie. You know, the cost of the value of their talent, you know, increases.
Right.
You know?
Right.
It's like me. You know, how do I go now? Even from where I always want to be, not only just this particular project I'm working on here in Winston, but I always want to see my art, you know, in a commercial, you know, on TV, you know.
Right.
How does what I'm doing now going to open the door for that?
Okay.
To opportunities to meet me where I'm at in my career right now. So, and the key is you're constantly networking, building relationships. I think that's one of the major keys. If you don't do nothing else, you know, in your career, build good relationships. You know, some are going to come and stay, some are going to come and go, and people are only there for a moment. And you might be that person for somebody else, you know, but at the same time, build good foundations that people will respect, you know, and sometimes they go bad, but they come back if they meant to, you know, to continue to be in your life.
Right.
But that's a solid thing for me, relationships, no matter, you know, how you look at it. Mm-hmm. Those are the people that, you know, and I waited 20 years for a lot of relationships that I had early on in my career, that those individuals who became my friends and became my followers, that they now moved in certain jobs that were affiliated with art and corporate that needed art, that the first name that came up, I got a homeboy, I got a friend, I got a high school friend that, man, he's good. Right. And it just led into opening doors.
Right. That's how it go.
That's how I
gotta have them relationships, man. Listen, you always gotta cross back over some of them bridges.
Yeah, you gotta you gotta be careful how you burn those bridges.
That's right. That's right.
But at the same time, you gotta know how to let go of some of those things too. I think we think that some people just gotta be with us forever and ever.
Right.
And sometimes it just, you know, as much as you might want that person to kind of help them along, bring them along, sometimes it just don't. It don't work that way. And you got to know when to say, okay, you know, I got to move on. You still here, or you need to move on because you're moving in a different direction. And then we just, you know, we appreciate and respect each other's time that we spent in that relationship. But when it's time to move, you know, you got to move. You got to move. Yeah, make it do what it do.
Make it do what it do.
Yeah.
So on this show, the world is listening.
Okay.
What do you want the world to know about you? The whole world.
I want the whole world. And I know as much as I'm saying this, and it's not a full fast of trying to promote anything, but it really is about me creating a vibe that everybody out there who hears this, who researches Leo Rucker, will know that because I stuck with it and made it do what it do, created a movement that says, you know, okay, I get it now. Get up, let it go, whatever you gotta do, and go make your dream come true. Whatever you gotta do, whoever you gotta connect with, whatever letter you gotta write, how many doors you gotta knock on. I had an experience with a well-known business person, Miss Eunice, her daughter was Ursula and Eunice Dudley. They told me, I went to her, presented a project, and said, you know, here's something I think would benefit your company. And she said, no, at that time, no, Leo. But she didn't let me walk out the room and say, Leo, just remember this, you're gonna get 7 no's before you get 1 yes. And that never left my brain. And then she had another employee, which was a relative of my first wife, and he always told me, he said, Leo, man, you're talented. Bro, you're talented. He had this energy that just like, oh my God, it'll scare you sometimes. Yeah. But he said, man, do not take your talent to the grave. And I paid a promise. I will not take this to the grave. No matter how successful it is compared to somebody else, my success is totally different than the next person. So you can't, don't try to live anybody else's dream.
Right.
Don't try to live anybody's purpose. Don't let nobody distract you. Now, you got to take good wisdom when it's time to make adjustments or shift. You got to know when that is, when it's time to do that. But you also just got to know you got to stay your guns. You got to stick to it. What are you willing to sacrifice to live your dream, to follow your dream, to your purpose? And so, what time you got to get up in the morning? How long you got to stay up? What time you got to go to bed?
Right.
Little hours, short hours. Sometimes I only get like 4 hours of sleep. And you probably know about that.
Right. Oh, yeah. That was last night.
But these are the sacrifices that you have to make, and it is a must. To figure out. And some people are smart enough, or intelligent enough, or had a strategic plan that they might not have to work as hard as you, and they can make things happen.
Right.
So, because I watch people every day who can, click a button, make a speech, and they get paid $25,000, just
right.
for a couple of hours.
I'm telling you, that's right.
Yeah. So, but what is your due, for you to get to where you want to be? What are you willing to leave or plan to leave outside of taking care of your family? How do you want the world to remember you?
Right.
And that's what I ask people every day. I hope, and sometimes, I try to make a difference in people's lives, and sometimes people don't receive it as well.
Right.
And stuff, and they got their own vision on how they want to pursue. And you have to know when you give advice or when you're trying to help somebody, and they don't receive it, you got to be willing to say, man, you ain't gonna make it. I'm trying to give you something. And you just got to know how to walk away and say, okay, they'll find that right person or that right thing that'll take them to where they're going, if they're passionate and serious about their purpose.
So what's this exhibit that's coming up tomorrow?
So the exhibit coming up tomorrow, I forgot the title of it. So I'm gonna have to.
I'm gonna let you think about the title.
Yeah, let me think about it.
Right here in Winston-Salem, and we at, what's the name of this building?
This is the Milton Rose Center in Winston-Salem on 251.
Is that the title right there? By any means necessary?
By any means, right there. Look at that, it's right in my face. See, I'm thinking too hard. Sometimes I do that. I overthink things and stuff. So sometimes it takes people to bring it down, bring it back down, Leo.
Yeah,
so,
we got it. We just figured it out.
Yeah, man. Wow. My head.
Any means necessary.
So
tomorrow, what time?
Tomorrow at 5:30 kicks off.
Okay.
I think it's from 5:30 to like 8 or so.
Okay.
Or it's maybe 7:30. But it's a great show. I promise you, you will not regret coming out to this, by any means necessary. You will meet artists who have, like me, been in the game for years, and they have something to share, an opportunity to inspire, up and coming artists, whether you're old or young, and you want to follow your dreams creatively.
Right. So there it is, y'all. Mr. Leo Rucker on Save the Arts TV. Let's go.
Let's go.
Save the Arts TV. Let's go.